battle begins. Dueling decades. Let's see who wins.
Dueling decades. Broadcasting from the Podcast New York studios and on Pod TV Live, it's another all-new Dueling Decades, the adult-only retro game show where the decades battle for supremacy because it's your history. We just fight for it. Welcome back. I am Mark James, and this week we have an outstanding October duel where I will be competing with the best of October 1976 alongside the other duelers and the decades they will be fighting for. First off, bringing the best from the 90s, say hello to Man Crush.
What's up? I have October 1986. It's almost Halloween, and this is the only getup that I could find in my house. I'm not even sure what the fuck I am supposed to be. But it's nice to see everybody again. I feel like it's been a month or so since we were recorded, and you might realize that if you're seeing the reruns. I hope people are enjoying that. But yeah, October 1986 is what I'm bringing to the table today.
Also joining the show, representing the 80s, please welcome back the media king of the North, Joe Finley.
Thank you so much. First off, Man Crush, you are definitely Josh Brolin from the Goonies. And I did a thing today. So I had a beard for the longest time and I shaved it today. And all this redness is what I've been left with. So you're going to have to deal with that, looking at it very up close too, in a way that
Can't tell.
It's going to be.
Looks all right.
Oh, no. It looks like it's a mess. I look like Freddy Krueger. And we're going to try and win with October of 1996 in the meantime.
And as always here on the show, we need somebody to adjudicate all of this awesomeness. So all rise for this week's guest judge, who has instructed us that he is only to be known as Mr. Body.
Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm Mr. Body, Man Crush, Mark, Joe. Very nice to meet you guys. Very excited to play for first time.
Nice
to
mustache.
meet you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
A lot of work into that.
Yeah, I've been growing it for years.
Solid. Do you coach a little league team?
I used to coach many little league teams, but now I'm no longer allowed near schools.
Ladies and gentlemen, the following contest will be held under Dueling Decades rules. The judges' coin flip shall decide who picks first out of the 5 Dueling Decades categories: movies, television, music, news, and hot products. A judge's ruling will determine who wins each round, allowing the victor to choose the next available category. The first 3 rounds are worth 1 point each, with rounds 4 and 5 worth 2 points apiece. And in the event of a tie after all 5 rounds, we'll go to a final wild card round. Remember, duelers, to review the show, listen, subscribe, and play along at home. It's time for more Dueling Decades. All right, let's go right down to Mr. Body for the coin toss to see who goes first in this game. This week it'll be between Man Crush and Joe Finley.
Oh, guys, you know something? I'm very sorry. I'm a little bit unprepared at being at my first time on the show. Let me get something to flip here.
Ah,
All righty.
he even runs creepy.
All right. So I have a copy of Ghostbusters on VHS, and I think we're going to flip that, being as it's October.
All right.
Right.
Joe, you can call it.
All right, let's go with heads.
All right. Let's flip it up in the air here. 1, 2, 3. Oh, but we have tails.
Ooh.
All right,
So-
Man Crush, you win the coin toss. You get control of the board, and you get to select our first category.
All right. I hate going with movies first, but we're going to do that. We're going to go movies
Ooh.
first. And we're going to go to October 24th of 1986. And this is one of those horror movies that anyone growing up in the 80s most likely saw on cable. This particular movie was played countless times during my youth on late night HBO, and it gained that cult status that we always talk about at the video store. So we're not talking about like a huge juggernaut right here. However, when I decided to pick this movie, I thought I had watched this pretty recently. I saw the box. I was like, yeah, I've seen this like maybe last year or whatever. But I was pleasantly surprised that I hadn't. And tell me it's not awesome. And I think we talked about this on the show before, to rewatch a movie that you've seen years and years ago and you think you know it, and everything feels brand new again when you watch it. Like every scene, you forgot everything. And that is exactly what happened with this movie. So it was really good. It was fun to watch this one. And if you're interested in actually seeing this movie, do not go over to all the paid services because none of them have it, which I was actually a little surprised about. On a whim, I decided to go over to YouTube, and it's on that shit for free. So once you find out what this movie is, you can go to YouTube, you can watch it on YouTube for nothing. So at the box office, this movie, like I said before, was not a juggernaut. Took in just about $7 million at the box office, roughly $18 million in 2021 on a $3.5 million budget, which is not amazing, but this is like a pretty run-of-the-mill DEG movie, which is, of course, D. Laurinaitis Entertainment. It's kind of, you think of it this way, it's almost like the Break-In of horror movies, because just like Canon Films, DEG does not shy away from pop culture, right? And with heavy metal like gaining in popularity through the mid 80s, early 80s, like just building up, why the hell not? Let's mix heavy metal with horror, which is, it's kind of like, listen, parody in the 80s was just amazing. And I talked about this several months ago when I had the movie Vice Versa. And I talked about like the run of like all the body swap movies, right, that we had during that period.
Right.
Well, this parody is exactly the same because we got tons of these movies during that same stretch. And you had such classics as like Rocktober Blood, Blood Tracks, Hard Rock Zombies, Rock and Roll Nightmare, Slumber Party Massacre 2. How can you forget that one? Slaughterhouse Rock, and a movie called Shock 'em Dead. And I'm sure there were like a ton of other ones, but those are a few to get you going. So if you're in the mood for the heavier side of rock and roll and actors that don't really fit their parts whatsoever, you got Skippy from Family Ties playing a metalhead hero. All right. Which, if you didn't know this one, Ragman, his character, was almost played by Keanu Reeves. Can you imagine that? You had Gene Simmons as a generous radio DJ. That'll happen. And then you had an ad-libbing Ozzy Osbourne playing a televangelist. You had a fucking gymnast playing a metal demigod. And then you had Doug Savant of Melrose Place. And also, he was also Michael J. Fox's team member on Teen Wolf on the basketball team there. He was a school bully in this one. You had Vic Rattlehead ripoffs. You backmask your records to summon evil. You had hot moms and leotards, which I was a little surprised about when I was watching that scene, because at first I thought it was the girl that liked Ragman. It was actually, I had to rewind it and watch it again. It's his mom. So good stuff there. And if you like Walkman orgasms, which you get in this movie, then go out and grab yourself a copy of Trick or Treat. Not Trick or Treat, totally different movie. Actually, there is another Trick or Treat, I think came out in 1982, but this one right here came out in 1986, October 24th, 1986 to be exact. Trick or Treat.
Wow. All right, Joe Finley, what did you bring for the movies round?
Okay, well, let me actually bring myself back up. I'm getting how to do this after so long. I take you to October 18th, 1996. And I take you to a movie that was written by a then unknown fella who he wrote an semi-autobiographical movie about a breakup he had and a couple of friends who took him out on the town to cheer him up. He ended up writing this movie and then trying to get his friends to star as his friends in the movie. Studios weren't having it, so they ended up funding this movie themselves. And I know it sounds a lot like a Good Will Hunting, but it is not. This movie is so money, it didn't even know it. I give you Swingers. So Jon Favreau did write this movie, and it is a semi-autobiographical story. And Vince Vaughn and Ron Livingston were his friends who took him out on the town when they tried to get this movie made initially. Like I said, nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted to cast those guys. They wanted to go and get stars and all this. Doug Liman directing his first movie. They didn't really want to trust him with brand new people and all that. So they said, screw it. We'll go out and we'll do it ourselves. They raised $200,000 and made the movie. Ended up making $4.6 million, which, I mean, from a standpoint of, just like profit margins, that was pretty fantastic. Steven Spielberg actually hired Vince Vaughn from seeing scenes from the movie when they were trying to get him to approve the Jaws theme for a portion. So yeah, it was a pretty big deal. It was a breakout for a lot of people. And then Jon Favreau got several Film Critics Awards for his work in the movie, and Doug Liman won an MTV Movie Award for Best New Director. So October 18th, Swingers.
You're so fucking money and you don't even know it, Joe.
That's what I'm saying. I keep trying to be money.
What's up, fucking House of Pain? All right, guys. So my movie this week starts off with a scene of old-timey gangsters barging in and shooting up a rival crew that consists of a man that has no eyes, the Wolf Man, and one gentleman who gets his head blown off only to spout out a fountain of rainbow-colored blood from his neck. So for my movie selection this week, we're going to go straight to the official press release for this film. The long wait is over. Led Zeppelin comes into the cinema in The Song Remains the Same, the motion picture record of the group's explosive 1973 Madison Square Garden performances. The Song Remains the Same captures the being and essence of four people who make up Led Zeppelin, the most exciting and durable of rock groups. The Warner Brothers movie has taken 3 painstakingly precise years to reach the cinemas, incorporating live concert footage, fantasy sequences, backstage glimpses of the band, and a personal view of them at ease at home. The Song Remains the Same is a rare human look at 4 rock musicians: Jimmy Page, Robert Plant, John Paul Jones, and John Bonzo Bonham. The film was their idea, their project totally, and it's their special way of giving their millions of friends what they have always been clamoring for: a personal and private tour of Led Zeppelin. The movie opens October 20th in New York, and despite the production woes of the film and all of that being a disaster with reshoots, and the band felt that some of the performances were subpar, this movie has actually become legendary with Led Zepp fans over the years and was a late night cult favorite in movie houses for the rest of the 70s. So in the film, the band jams out some of their classics like Rock and Roll, Celebration Day, The Song Remains the Same, Rain Song. You get a 26-minute Dazed and Confused, 29 minutes on the album, No Quarter, Stairway to Heaven, Moby Dick, and Whole Lot of Love. The Song Remains the Same is live on the silver screen October 20th, 1976. If you've never checked this out and you're not a Led Zeppelin fan, watch it. You will be. Fantastic movie. All right, Joe Finley. All right, let's kick it over to Mr. Body, who's going to judge his first round here on Dueling Decades, the movies round.
All right. Well, hopefully I do this right, guys. Forgive me. I have to say first, right off the bat, I don't want to pick any of you because I usually prefer to watch movies that begin with the letter Y. If you're wondering, well, why not? But so I guess we'll go to Mark first, who possibly went with who the hell's going to the movies to see this? But
a lot of people.
Yeah, well, that's boring. I like a story. Yeah, I like a story. And I usually only listen to Led Zeppelin when I'm making out. But yeah, so automatic disqualification there. But then I think let's move over to Joe, who went with possibly the most obscene of choices. How long is this movie?
I don't know. It's pretty on brand,
yeah,
93 minutes.
about 93 minutes. 93 minutes. Everybody knows what swingers look like. They're usually, in their late 50s, overweight, looking at stretch marks and varicose veins.
False advertising.
Yeah. So, God, I hope this was at least children were not allowed to go see this. But then I guess we'll move over to Man Crush here, who's got Trick or Treat, which interestingly enough this is a film that I once owned on video cassette. Wish I still had it because I believe it is worth a little bit at the moment.
Wow.
And I mean, I'm just going to come out and say it. I totally jerked off to the
Walkman orgasm?
Walkman. Yeah, I recall that. Yep, that happened.
Did you have the mustache then?
No, but oddly enough, later on that day, I did take a mustache ride. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that was right around the time I was banned from Little Leagues. But yeah, if I'm going to choose a winner of the movie round, all things considered, especially so that nobody chose anything with the letter Y, I'm going to go with Man Crush with Trick or Treat.
All right, Man Crush, you pick up our first point, but more importantly, you take control of the board and get to select our next category.
All right, let's go hot products here. I know that's always a popular one, and I'm hoping that since you guys also had October, you went the same route as I did, because this is something that I usually do when we do October. I always find this one interesting. Every time I have October, I think the last time I had it must have been in the 70s, because I remember it being Kiss costumes were the most popular costume of the year. So I think that was actually last year I had that. Well, now we're off to 1986 and we have some new hot costumes for the holiday season. So here's a story from 1986, October of 1986 to be exact, about which costumes for Halloween were the hottest. Anybody want to guess before I start this? So I think that might be a fun thing to do.
Human Torch?
No.
You said the
Doc
hottest.
Brown. That would have been no. What about you, Mr. Body? What do you think before I even say anything? This is 1986. Male and female, by the way.
Michael Jackson?
No, it was not Michael Jackson.
Mr. T.
Nope. It's not
Tina.
a character. All right, let me just read the fucking
Gary Coleman.
All right, shut up, everybody. Here we go. All right, so I won't even give you the title because that'll give everything away, but this is a title, or this is an article out of San Diego, and it begins like this. The Ninja Warrior is once again the overwhelming favorite for male Halloween costume this year, while a sexy witch is the top choice for girls and women, according to Costume Maker. The buying patterns are bearing out planning decisions made a year ago, which I found this kind of interesting that they do this a year in advance, by National Theme Productions, the nation's largest designer and retailer of adult Halloween costumes, which works all year just for a couple days in scary October. And I quote here, they say, "We try to make sure we know what is happening in the world in general," said Bonnie Kerr Gagnon. Oh, Gagnon? Gagnon. I like Gagnon better. So we're going to go Bonnie Kerr Gagnon. She's got a hyphenated last name. She said she's actually the company's division merchandise manager. The brief Halloween season leaves no room for large orders based on fads, Miss Kerr Gagnon said. A costume design that doesn't sell sits in our warehouse, and there is no markdown period in Halloween sales, which is pretty spot on. Another quote she says, and this is great. She says, "I learned my lesson on Boy George. I tried to do a Boy George costume a couple of years ago. It had braids and a hat with ribbons going through it. Then he cut his hair off. I could have killed him. I had about 4,000 braided wigs connected to hats that I had to take the braids off to try to reuse for something else. For specific imitations, the company stocks 200 accessories and its 850 seasonal shops set up in major department stores across the nation. You can create the female rock star Madonna, but you can't buy her ready-made. But yeah, I give you 1986 Ninjas for the second year in a row, and Sexy Witches, which I never really saw a sexy witch. But
Yeah, it's always
okay.
on the top of the list, but you never really see them.
Sexy, yes, sexy, like a nurse, maybe like a vampire, but a witch. Witches are gross.
I've never seen an unsexy witch. Kathy Najimy in Hocus Pocus gets my crank rolling. What?
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah.
All right, Joe Finley, what did you bring for the hot products round?
Well, I brought costumes, but not Halloween costumes. I brought horror, but not a horror movie. October 20th, 1996, I bring you WWE's In Your House Buried Alive. So
Ooh.
this was the 11th In Your House pay-per-view. This was just at the beginning of the not having just kind of the main 4 throughout the year. They started adding one a month, and it was a shrunk down, cheaper pay-per-view for people to watch. But this one actually had a lot of firsts in it. It was actually the very first pay-per-view ever where the champion didn't fight. So they've had ones where the championship wasn't on the line, like even in WrestleMania 1, Hogan was on a tag team, and so the championship wasn't up for grabs. But this time, Shawn Michaels, who was the champion, was not on the card. He fought a dark match against Goldust, which actually came on at the after the pay-per-view was over, but he did not fight during the card. Also, it was the debut of Stone Cold Steve Austin's Hell Frozen Over theme song with the shattered glass and all that. That was the first time you ever heard that music, when he went against Hunter Hearst Helmsley, his pre-Triple H days. And this was also the first ever Buried Alive match, with The Undertaker facing off against Mankind with his new manager, Paul Bearer, after Paul Bearer turned his back on... Paul Bearer turned his back on The Undertaker in a previous pay-per-view, which I believe was SummerSlam. That would have been Boiler Brawl. So there was a lot of that going on. That was the main event, and it ended with The Undertaker being buried alive when pretty much everybody who was at the pay-per-view ran out and helped Mankind bury him. The other matches in the pay-per-view included Owen Hart and British Bulldog taking on the Smoking Guns and winning for the to defend the tag team championships. Mark Marrow defeated Goldust, who I did say was in a dark match, so he did double duty that day. And Psycho Sid defeated Vader to become the #1 contender for the championship to face off against Shawn Michaels at Survivor Series. So that's what I give you for the first time ever, Buried Alive, October 20th, 1996.
Very nice. Very nice. All right. Much like Man Crush, it's Halloween time. We need a good costume. So let's go over to the pages of the Star Gazette out of Elmira, New York, October 28th, 1976, where the headline reads, Fonz tops Halloween costumes. If the Fonz seems like he's getting more than his fair share of trick-or-treat candy this year, don't worry. There'll be a lot of children impersonating him this year. Area stores have reported that costumes resembling well-known television characters this year are the most popular choice for trick-or-treaters. Traditional characters such as Dracula and Frankenstein probably will be taking the backseat to other television personalities as well. Everybody's buying TV characters. Barry Hochuk, assistant manager at Kmart, said, the Fonz would have been the biggest, but we can't get any. So SWAT is number 2. SWAT stands for Special Weapons and Tactics, a television show about policemen. So my hot product is the 1976 Ben Cooper Fonz costume. The costume includes the signature flame retardant plastic cape and Ben Cooper mask, which kind of looks more like a cross between Ronald Reagan and Walter Matthau than it does the Fonz. So if you could find one, you could pick one up for Halloween. The prices range from about $1.99 to $2.49, or about $27 today. And if you want one today, you can still find them on eBay, but you're going to pay about $75 to $100. So get your costume and say, hey, give me all your candy. With the Fonz in his Halloween costume by Ben Cooper, October 1976. Now, guys, if the Fonz actually went trick-or-treating Do you think he could just walk up to the house, hit the side of the house, and candy would fly out?
Would pop out of the mail
Are we
slot.
supposed to take Ben Cooper's word that those are really flame retardant?
Yeah,
I don't buy that.
to a point they're flame retardant, but I don't
Let's
know.
order
I could
one.
always yeah.
Let's try it on a live stream.
We lit that kid on fire. It just melted, man.
It was just a test, man. Trying to see if the claim was real.
All right. Well, let's see what our guest judge for this episode, Mr. Body, has to say about the hot products round.
Well, you know, fellas, I feel like I'm settling in here. I'm starting to get the swing of things. I guess let's go over to Man Crush here with his ninja costume, which I've been listening to a few episodes of the show, and you definitely have a long streak of explaining things for way too long. So yeah. Now, what's really impressive here is what Mark brings with the Fonz costume, because I can only imagine how popular this must have been. I mean, who doesn't love Happy Days? And the Fonz was everywhere. There was Fonz pinball machines. I don't know if there really was, but there probably was. So I'm not going to totally discount that one just yet, but then let's swing it over to Joe here with the first Buried Alive. We got Steve Austin first time with the well-known theme song, first Buried Alive match. What's impressive here is that I am not the biggest wrestling fan post 1993, 94, but I am well aware of this, which goes to show you just the sheer magnitude of the event. But really, I don't know where to go here, because on one hand, you've got the guy who jumped the shark, and then you've got this. So over here with the wrestling, which, bunch of guys rolling around the floor with the other guys. But yeah, I'm quite perplexed. I don't really know what to do here.
Ninjas.
Yeah, there is the ninja stars, which, I mean, those are fun to play with.
Yeah.
I think when all said and done, what was the thing that lasted the longest? And to be quite honest with you, I don't see Channel 11 at 6:00 in the evening ever rerunning this Buried Alive match, but somewhere at any time of the day throughout the world, you will find an episode of Happy Days on some channel. So I'm going to go with the Fonz costume.
All right. So that means I pick up a point. I tie this game up with Man Crush. I get to select the next round going into our final 1-point round. And gentlemen, that's going to be the music round. All right, so I'll start this one off. A reviewer from Rolling Stone stated that this album was one of the best from 1976, and that this singer kind of sounds like Rod Stewart and writes lyrics like Bruce Springsteen. Released by Capitol Records October 22nd, 1976, I give you Night Moves by Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band. Perfect band in time for Halloween. A review in the Independent out of Long Beach, California says, to know Bob Seger is evidently to love him. The cult figure at best. He is a cult figure at best in most of the country. Seger attracted some 80,000 to a concert he held last spring in his hometown of Detroit. His records consistently sell in Michigan, but nowhere else. The narrow base of acceptance is hard to understand because Seger is a model mainstream rocker. And then the article goes on to say that the most important thing about Night Moves is that it is a record for adults. Like most of today's rockers, Seger is over 30 years old. Unlike most of them, he actually admits it. The article closes with Night Moves in the accompanying national tour may well be Seger's last chance to be more than just a regional favorite. He certainly deserves to make it. Oh, and make it he did. This hardworking rocker's 9th studio album, it was his first to be certified platinum, and since then, it's sold 6 times platinum. The album ended up producing 3 singles, Rock and Roll Never Forgets, and 2 top 40 hits in The Sweet Sultry Sounds of the aforementioned Night Moves in the slow grooves of Main Street. So if we look down at the rest of the track listing for this one, we get the jukebox favorite and my personal favorite, Fire Down Below, followed by Sunburst and then Sunspot Baby, which is a song that kind of sounds like Randy Newman went to a bar, drank too much whiskey, and then sat in with the blues band. So the album kind of rounds out with Come to Papa, Ship of Fools, and the rockin' version of Mary Lou. So slap on some blue collar rock with Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band, October 22nd, 1976.
I'm pretty sure that whole album is about fucking.
I think so. It really is. And it's fantastic. Start to finish. It's just a great album. I think I listened to it 3 times today alone, start to finish. It just flows.
Fire Down Below is about a chick with red hair. What was the other one you said right after that?
We got Come to Papa.
Also about a chick with red hair.
A Ship of Fools. That's about fucking on a cruise ship.
Night Moves about fucking in your car.
Right. Main Street. Well, you were
It's
fucking
about
on Main Street.
Yeah.
You didn't get too clever there.
Sunburst. Well, that's
a
just
chick with red
fucking-
hair.
Yeah. It's all about fucking.
Strawberry blonde.
Sunburst is actually when you get a facial in the sun.
Thank you for bringing that to the table.
Yeah,
Thank
well,
God.
only happens in the Sunshine State.
All right, Man Crush. What did you bring for the music round?
All right. So I could have went with some albums here, but I decided to go with a single. So I wouldn't say that this song put this band on the map, but they had a couple of hits already previously. But I think this track actually cemented them as like real players in the game. And this was one of those tracks that it just like it transcended generations. You listened to it, your kid brother listened to it, your older sister probably listened to it, and your mother definitely owned the album. It's one of those. And no, I'm not talking about the any track from the Dirty Dancing soundtrack, because that would have been 1987. But the phenomenon is pretty close to this one, I would say. And arguably, this is probably the band's most popular song, if not their best song. It depends on who you ask. But this single alone, it went 3 times platinum in the US, just the single. Overall, the single sold about 5 million copies worldwide. The album from which it hailed sold about 12 million copies in the US alone. So there's fairly good evidence there that this single probably attributed to a lot of those numbers. The single, it went number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, stayed there for 4 weeks. And all of that is not too bad, considering this is a song that John Bon Jovi just thought was okay when they first mixed it. And when he said that to Richie Sambora called John an idiot. This is actually in an interview. He said this. He was like, I called John an idiot for not seeing the potential that this song had when they penned it. And Bon Jovi basically just said that the day that they wrote this song, that the band just wasn't feeling very creative. It was just like a mad day. They went in the studio to do some shit, and they got into a conversation. It led to this song, and it was just kind of whatever. But that song goes something like this. Tommy used to work on the docks. Union's been on strike. He's down on his luck. It's tough. Oh, so tough. Come on, guys. Nobody?
No, we're gonna let you carry this one all yourself.
I'm trying,
man.
But you can put that on my compilation CD. But yeah, we're talking about Living on a Prayer right here by Bon Jovi. And honestly, I don't know if you guys remember this, but right after 9/11, remember they had the Heroes tribute, like it was like a week later, 10 days or whatever. They did an acoustic version of Living on a Prayer during that, and I swear to you, I wept like a baby. So go over to YouTube, just go and watch that. It's beautiful. It was like candles behind them and shit. Whew, it's a tearjerker. But yeah, Living on a Prayer, baby. Whoa!
All right, Joe Finley, what did you bring for the music round?
All right. Well, we're slightly more than halfway there in the show, so let's talk about another album. Let's talk about right at the beginning of the month, October 1st, 1996. This is the band's second album. It did some really great things for them. It gave you such wonderful song titles as Stinkfist, Eulogy, 46 and 2, Hooker with a Penis, and the title track by Tool, Enema. So like I said, it was their second album. It went triple platinum. It debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200. That was its peak, and won a Grammy for Best Metal Performance for the title track. It was named the 6th most influential album of all time by the British metal magazine Kerrang! And it was number 18 on Rolling Stone's 100 Greatest Metal Albums of All Time. This is an album that I still very regularly listen to. It is... I've always got this one going, and every time it goes, it hits just as hard. It is like Tool albums just do that to me as it is. If you want to listen to a single song for 45 minutes, it seems they're the ones to go to. But every single time, whenever they put out an album, you're not getting. They're not going light on you. So that's my entry for this one. Is Tool's Enema, October 1st.
That's your entry, yeah?
That's my entry.
The entry into Tool's Enema.
Yeah. That's why I have the
All
Stinkfist.
All right, Mr. Body, let's hear what your verdict is on the music round.
Well, 3 different choices and so many different thoughts I have here. I don't know where to really begin. I mean, I have the least experience with Tool. But I do recognize that they are, a semi-popular band. And then, Mark, you just hit me with Bob Seger, who plays, at every Friday at the Menopause Lounge.
You have to mention the hair from that album. Is it that album cover with the hair?
Yeah, it is.
Oh man,
and like the dirt
so
bag
good.
mustache and goatee that's like half filled in.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I wish I could grow that mop.
Well, yeah, I don't know exactly where to go here because I feel like because I don't really listen to Tool, I'm not giving them like a fair shake. But at the same time, I mean, Mark did bring us a record here that's all about well, I guess, if you really think about it, Mark and Joe both brought something that
all about coitus.
Yeah, all about doing something in a tight, warm place. But also, you've got Man Crush here with Living on a Prayer, and I mean, who doesn't hate that song? But yeah. Oh man. So you know what? I think I'm gonna have to go against my better judgment here and give this one to Joe with Tool.
Ooh. All right,
Do you
Joe
need me to
Finley.
sing the rest of the song?
You know what? That might help you. I don't know if you want to.
I'll skip. I'll give Joe the point. I'll go with a 3-way tie.
All right, Joe Finley, you pick up the point. The game's tied 3 ways. We're heading into our first 2-point round. Where are we going next?
Oh, it's a tough one, and I don't know why it's a tough one because it really doesn't matter. They're 2-point rounds, so we can do this in any order we want. But I think I'm going to go with the news round. Okay. So, I bring you to October 4th, 1996. The baseball playoffs are underway, but something just prior to the playoffs had happened. Former Blue Jay, give it up, Roberto Alomar, spit in an umpire's face. And anybody who really knew him when he was a Blue Jay, he did those old McCain commercials where he has like catch the taste, and that's all I could think about when he spit in the mouth of a of an umpire. But he gets suspended for 5 games, but the GM decides that he's not going to enforce that suspension until after the playoffs because the Orioles, the team for which he was playing, made the playoffs, and he was like, oh, he's not going to miss any playoff games. He doesn't have to worry about this until next season. So the umpires walked out. And this became a huge deal, and the MLB was scrambling. There was a union vote for the umpires to strike, and on October 4th, 1996, a U.S. district judge barred the MLB umpires from striking during the postseason. They deemed that while he totally understood that how upset they were at the ruling and all those things, that it was not a sufficient term. It was not sufficient to break their terms of employment in their contract. So they got ordered back. They said they would come back. The head of their union said that as they are trying to project themselves as a point of authority, they wouldn't balk at the authority of the judge. So they did turn back. That was Judge Edmund Ludwig who filed that with injunction. And excuse me. So, but the MLB was fully prepared to move on without these umpires. They had already gathered a group of replacement umpires who were both amateur and college umps and were ready to go on. But the judge determined that it would have been too detrimental to the teams to bring in a bunch of replacement umpires right in the midst of postseason. So October 4th, 1996, the judge stops an umpire strike from messing up the World Series.
Wow. All right, Man Crush, what did you bring this week for the news round?
All right, let's go. This is kind of 2 dates, but we'll start with one date and I'll add the other one. So we got October 25th and 27th of 1986. 2 dates. We'll start with the first one first. And I treasure this one with every fiber of my being. As I've mentioned on this show countless times, I am a miserable Jets fan, but the misery doesn't end there. I'm also a Mets fan, a Knicks fan, and a Rangers fan. So over the course of my 43 years, I've witnessed close to nothing. I've witnessed my friends just rejoice year after year, go to championship parades, and just feel good about their squads year in, year out. I never had that. And I'm in New York, for Christ's sake. So, you know, damn well I've had and seen Yankees fans going ballistic for years. Since I was born, the Yankees have won 6 World Series. The Giants have won 4 Super Bowls. The Devils have won 3 Stanley Cups. Meanwhile, I'm basically clinging on to 2 championships with 4 teams. But this is technically the one that I'm attached to. The other one, 1994 with the Rangers, I wasn't really that big into hockey yet in 94. So I don't really count that one as being part of my lineage. But this one, I do. And I owe all the excitement to something that occurred on that night, October 25th, 1986. Because in typical Mets fashion, nothing is done easily. Nothing. So after losing game 5 in Boston, the Mets were down 3-2. The backs are up against the wall. One more loss and they're done. Bobby Ojeda takes the mound that night. And right off the bat, he gives up 2 quick runs. First 2 innings, 2-0. But the Mets, they managed to tie the game in the 5th inning. Boston goes back up 3-2 in the 7th inning. Then the Mets were able to tie it in the 8th inning, 3-3, right? And I don't know if you guys watch this game, but like I remember it like it was fucking yesterday. I literally remember sitting on the floor in my bedroom watching this game with clenched fists, anxiety ridden over this shit. 3-3, we're headed to extra innings, right? Like I said, nothing is ever easy with the Mets. The 10th inning, top of the 10th, Rick Aguilera comes in, gives up a home run to Dave Henderson right off the bat. They go down 4-3. Wade Boggs hits a double. They drive him home. 5-3. Now we're going to the bottom of the 10th. The season hinges on 3 outs. And I want to say that at that point, the Mets in 86 had like 104 wins or something like that. I followed that team like it was like my fucking family. All right. So the bottom of the 10th starts. You got Calvin Schiraldi. He's on the mound for Boston. And he immediately gets the first 2 outs against arguably the 2 best Mets hitters. You got Howard Johnson and Keith Hernandez. I believe they both flew out, right? So now the Mets are down to their last out. The scoreboard at Shea Stadium mistakenly flashes congratulations to the 1986 world champions, the Boston Red Sox, right? Goes up, comes down, and up walks Gary Carter, the kid. The kid comes to the plate and he drops a single, weak single into left, right? Mets are still alive. Tying run comes up to the plate. And like I said before, this is the fucking Mets, right? So Davy Johnson, this is gonna be a long one. I don't give a fuck. Davy Johnson, he announces that Kevin Mitchell is gonna come off the bench to pinch hit for Rick Aguilera. It was in this slot. It was supposed to be Darryl Strawberry, but they did double switch the inning before. So now it's Rick Aguilera's turn at bat. So they go to put Kevin Mitchell in, right? Well, Kevin Mitchell is not in the fucking dugout because after the first 2 outs of the inning, this motherfucker like ditched off to the clubhouse because he's like, I'm taking a shower. Fuck it. So somebody runs into the clubhouse. They go get Mitchell. He throws his jersey back on. He grabs the bat cold and goes into the warm-up circle. And he's just, this is only the Mets. Shit like this happens to. So he gets in the warm-up circle and, you know, he does like some stretches. Fucking somehow Mitchell, who was 1 for 5 in the 1986 World Series up to this point, manages, I think it was on the second pitch, just drives a line drive into center. So now the tying runs are both on base, and you have Ray Knight comes up to the plate. And right off the bat, Schiraldi gets 2 quick strikes, right? So they're down to their last strike. This is the Mets. People are ready. Like, I don't know if you guys remember this. I do. Fucking, I can picture it. It looked like toilet paper is being thrown onto the field, but people are just tossing streamers onto the field behind home plate. All the shit's coming down. People just think it's over, right? And Ray Knight just corkscrews a pitch right over the second baseman into the center field. And the kid scores from second. So now it's 5-4. I think at the time, I think Kevin Mitchell moves all the way to third. So they take out Schiraldi, they put in Bob Stanley, and then Mookie Wilson steps to the plate. And I won't even go through the whole thing. We'll skip forward to 2 balls and 2 strikes, right? Stanley throws a pitch in the dirt. And that, like, again, it's just fucking Wilson steps back from the plate, waves Mitchell in. Mitchell scores 5-5, right? This at bat goes for 10 fucking pitches. And then Mookie hits one. And it doesn't even look like a good hit. Just hits it right down the first baseline. Bill Buckner's there. Ball goes right between his legs. They score. Ray Knight trots home 6-5. They win the game. This place, I've never seen to this day any New York stadium anywhere close to that. It was insane. Like, everyone was on their feet. There was not one person sitting down in this entire place. There's streamers getting thrown. There's sign. When was the last time you saw a sign at a baseball game? Like, people with signs and shit. Just fucking crazy. So they tie it. It's 3 games apiece. 2 days later, this is the 27th, of course, the Mets end up beating the Red Sox 8-5, and they win their second World Series and the only real major championship that I have ever gotten to celebrate in my entire life. So I give you the whole Mookie Wilson game 6 thing, and then game 7, win it. Wow. The Mets. And Doc Gooden was 0-3 in that series. He had actually lost game 5. So it was pretty wild that, like, everyone else just stepped up. Sorry, I had to make that one long and feel it from the heart.
I was kind of hoping you were going to make it long enough to cry.
Well, we actually won that one, so it was good.
All right, gentlemen, you knew it had to happen at some point in this game. It's time to get dark. So let's go over to the Journal out of Meridian, Connecticut, October 6, 1976, where an article reads, an 18-year-old man said he cut off his hand because he got into a fight with the devil. Then he walked the streets with a Bible and to preach the word of God, said the policeman who found him. Robert Hudel of Stonington was in stable condition Tuesday night at a Hartford hospital following surgery that replaced his right hand. But a spokesperson said it was a little too early to tell if the operation would be successful. Patrolman Frank Canella said he found Hudel Monday night as the young man was walking on Route 190, carrying a Bible under one arm and bleeding heavily. I asked him why he did it, and he said, if your right hand offends thee, cut it off and toss it away. Canna said Hudel made a tourniquet for his arm before cutting off his hand with a razor blade. He knew he wasn't going to die, Canna said, but then he knew he wasn't going to die, Canna said. He just had to get rid of the hand. He said he got into a fight with the devil. The patrolman added that Hudel and an off-duty officer and fireman stopped the car scene. They made him a better tourniquet, and then they retrieved the hand, which they found in a wastebasket. Hudel told the firemen it was the Lord that this is what the Lord did, he said. As they drove to the hospital, Hudel just read the Bible, and he really didn't say anything. And then halfway through the ride, he stopped and he said, boy, that took a lot of guts cutting that off. When the emergency room doctors told Hudel that and his parents what Hudel had done, his parents said he had never done anything like that before. And Hudel just responded back again, well, I had a fight with the devil. So that's what I got from my news story. Guy gets into a fight with the devil, cuts off his own hand with a razor blade in October 1976.
Well, thank God he was in Haddonfield, where they have the best trauma surgeons to reattach.
Yes.
that.
Thank goodness. All right, let's toss this over to Mr. Body for his ruling on the news round.
Well, I got to tell you guys, you know, you should really give yourselves a round of applause because you just keep you find the best stuff. I mean, you know, Mark's got his idle hand story here, which is very, you know, seasonal. I like it. Devil and October seem to go together. And then Joe, you know, I can certainly sympathize here. You know, a few weeks ago, my wife also staged a walkout for some spit-like substance in her face. But you know, I'm not going to bullshit anybody here. I'm a Met fan. And 1986, Game 7, I got to sit on my father's lap and watch the Mets win the World Series. So
you were 20 then, weren't you?
Well,
his dad didn't mind.
Well, again, you know, I'm banned from Little League. So I sit on laps or have people sit on laps for me. That's neither here nor there. And yeah, we're going to go with the Mets winning the World Series in 1986.
What was that? Because the only game I went to that year, and I still remember it, the Mets lost to Philly 7-1, and it was in September. Obviously, like, my family couldn't afford fucking World Series tickets. But what was it like being at Shea Stadium for Game 7 of that? Because Game 6 was, just watch the clips on YouTube. Like, if anybody doesn't believe us, go and watch the clips on YouTube of what it was like in the crowd, because nothing is like that today. So what was Game 7 like?
So, like, I guess the best way I can explain it. First, my father actually won the tickets at work in a raffle.
Wow.
And so that's how we ended up going. And from, you know, I was only like 4 years old. So I remember bits and pieces. I remember at the time Strawberry was like my favorite player, and I just kept like calling his name out. Only I wasn't calling him Strawberry, I was calling him Cherry. And yeah. And it just was like, anybody who's was ever in Shea Stadium, forget that it's ugly. That doesn't matter. When that place rocks, you feel it.
Yep.
You know, and that's really what I remember, just the overall insanity. Because, you know, being a Met, you go to Citi Field now, you don't have that blue collar everyman, you know, like kind of, you know, this is the team in Queens. The Mets do not carry the same cachet that the Yankees have. So, but that's really what I remember is just the place shaking.
Wow. So,
you know,
wild.
yeah.
I think
I wish I was a little older.
It shook the day that I saw them lose 7-1. I vaguely remember that. Like
yeah,
it
I don't know if the
super
building
fucking
was
loud.
built to code or not, but it might have something to do with
It
it.
was pretty shitty.
Yeah.
I won't lie. It is pretty shitty. Well, it was.
Well, what was not shitty is you so far in this game, Man Crush, because you're out to the lead 3-2, 3-1 rather, and we're heading into our final round, which is going to be the television round.
All right. With that, I'm gonna take my opportunity here to defer. And
Alrighty.
let's start from the lowest. Let's go to the 70s. And Mark, what do you got?
All right. My TV selection, we're going to go over to the pages of the Cincinnati Enquirer, October 2nd, 1976, where a review for a new show reads, "Never go into a TV series with preconceived notions. I should know that, but I figured Jack Klugman as a medical examiner in a coroner's office was too far-fetched. Who would believe that? So if you want to see how wrong I was, watch the 9:30 to 11 NBC Sunday mystery movie as Quincy M.E. Klugman is good, the program is good, and it has a lot of those nifty ingredients that make good drama. I just couldn't imagine that sloppy Oscar Madison of The Odd Couple being sharp enough to solve some sticky murders. In this first Quincy, he breaks up a City Hall murder scandal in convincing style. So airing October 3rd, 1976, I give you Go Fight City Hall to the Death, the very first Quincy M.E. Like the article alluded to in this one, Quincy looks into the rape and murder of a civil servant, and what he finds is a chain of murders and a political conspiracy that leads all the way to City Hall. So a total of 148 episodes were made about the determined medical examiner and LA city coroner, with the early seasons having Quincy actually solve the crime rather than the LAPD. And then in the later seasons, it kind of switched focus a little bit. And Quincy would tackle more social issues, such as flaws in drunk driving laws, dumping hazardous waste, orphan drugs, the dangers of punk rock, and of course, anorexia. Nominated for 10 Primetime Emmy Awards, including 4 outstanding lead actor in a drama series nominations for Jack Klugman. So if you're a fan of medical dramas, crime shows like Columbo and Matlock, and you're in the mood for some good cheesy fun, check out Quincy M.E. You can't go wrong with good old Jack Klugman. All right. So let's toss this one over to Joe Finley. Joe, what'd you bring for the television round?
Well, crikey, friends, I bring you something pretty interesting. October 25th, 1996, a show that spanned 6 seasons, was actually the second longest running show in the Discovery Communications network of channels. It had, 17 specials. It had 2 spin-offs, and the man became just an utter legend prior to his death. Steve Irwin brings you The Crocodile Hunter. The very first episode aired on October 25th on Animal Planet. So Steve Irwin and his wife, Terry, from the Australian National Zoo, began this journey of crocodile hunting, as it were, and you were introduced to an animal expert who was a virtual madman. And it was just wonderful to watch and to see this guy, deal with the crocodiles. We're going to get right in the cloaca there and really check it. It was just, he was something that nobody had ever seen before, because somebody like Jack Hanna, who was kind of your go-to for, any kind of animal expert, was a very measured, whatever. And this guy he was family friendly, but also at the same time was just an utter madman, and it just made everything. So I did say it was the second longest running program on the Discovery network of channels there. Mythbusters being the longest running of all time there. It's 2 spinoffs, The Croc Files, which was a more kid-friendly version. It was built more around kids, the graphics and stuff like that. And then The Crocodile Hunter Diaries, which was actually a reality show that was more about their lives and the lives of the people who National Zoo. The specials spanned, after the show had finished, he came out with a number of sporadic specials just to kind of stay on the air up until his untimely death, where he was stung by a ray. And still heartbreaking to this day, but the Irwins still working hard in Australia for animal preservation and all those different things. His daughter Bindi, who in the Crocodile Hunter Diaries was born on that show, is now kind of the leading force for all of that and has had her own shows in the time. The show also had they had their own movie, a Crocodile Hunter movie that came out. It was whatever, but the guy is an icon, and I miss him a lot, and I miss those shows a lot. But whenever I see something like that pop up, I love to check it out again and find myself at a level of madman he was. So October 25th, 1996, the Crocodile Hunter debuts.
Nice. All right, Man Crush, why don't you wrap up this game with your selection for the television round?
All right, so let's go October 6th, 1986. And you could tell by Mark's selection, we're getting outside of September. And we're beginning to lose out on some of the bigger shows that were debuting in September. That said, by seeing Joe's pick, it doesn't entirely end when it comes to October. This is kind of like Joe's pick a little bit. This show, it isn't exactly what you would expect for a debut, especially in 1986. It's not something you'd get from the big three. It's not something that's only on syndication. So not quite as common in 1986, but it's a debut of a brand new cable show. And if you're anything like myself and my second grade friends, you totally wanted to be on the show. We wanted to be on the show so bad that my friends and I, we practiced nonstop. Matter of fact, we used to set up a homemade obstacle course at my friend Robbie's house and out into the woods in his backyard, because it was kind of like sloped, and Robbie lived in this 3-story townhouse. And I totally remember one particular obstacle course we devised because everyone got fucked up, and I was left with a sneaker full of blood at the end. I think it was probably a Saturday or some shit. But in our infinite wisdom as 8-year-olds or 9-year-olds, whatever the fuck we were, we thought it was a great idea. We'd set up this obstacle course and begin by jumping out Robbie's parents' bedroom window onto the second floor deck. And from that point, you had the option to either slide down the stairs, which were steep as shit, on a plastic sled, or jump off the side of the deck into a pile of leaves. And I mean, keep in mind, we were timing each other doing this because you had to. We were practicing for the show. But after you did that, you also had to spin on a baseball bat. You know, the thing where you put the bat on your head and you got to spin around 10 times. Well, you did that. And before you finished the challenge by shooting his brother's homemade crossbow into a target on the side of his shed. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? I mean, we're like, probably like 8, 9, 10 years old or whatever the fuck we were at the time. So my friend Dave, he smashes his head on the bottom rail of the stairs because there was no way to hold on to the plastic sled, which we realized after we did it. Because if you did, you would just rip your fucking fingers off on the stairs. So that didn't work. So Dave goes down and he just slams into it. So at this point, Robbie was like, all right, well, I'm not going to go that route. So he jumps off the side of the deck into the pile of leaves and like twists his ankle, because what we didn't realize is the pile of leaves absolutely sucks and it doesn't really break your fall whatsoever. You just go straight through that shit right to the ground. So I'm going right after Robbie. So I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to go down the stairs because I want to keep my fingers and I want to smash my face. So I'll go into the pile of leaves. So I jump off and I go into the pile of leaves. This is probably like a 12-foot drop or so. Go in there. I actually land good. I stand up. And just as I stand up, I get shot in the fucking leg with the crossbow.
Holy shit.
And I still remember this day
God.
seeing my cousin Adam is like standing off to the side. He hadn't gone yet. He was the one doing the timing, and he's just staring at me like eyes wide open. And I knew at that point shit was bad. and look, this was a crossbow that his brother had made, and they weren't real bows or real fucking arrows, rather. They were sharpened sticks that we put in this thing.
Yep.
So basically what happened was Robbie he went off the thing, he did the spin, but he was so dizzy that when he was holding the crossbow and he went to shoot it, you know, like if you spin around 10 times, you're pretty fucked up, but you don't realize it. And he spun right towards me and shot this thing and hit me right in the calf. Like went in probably like 2 inches into my calf, just blood fucking everywhere. But I mean, that's the shit that you do. I mean, these are things you did to get in shape for Double Dare. like everyone wanted to get on Double Dare, and this is what you needed to do. You needed to, you know, get your body hardened for Double Dare. So this was Nickelodeon's first ever game show, and it debuted on October 6, 1986. And it ran on and off for over 600 episodes between 1986 and 2019. And I'm going to wrap this up by saying, man, we fucking need Mark Summers as a guest judge on this son of a bitch.
I agree. I agree. Mark Summers would be awesome.
That would be fucking fantastic. But yeah, I still have the scar on my leg.
All right. Let's toss it down to Mr. Body, who will give us our final judgment here for the television round.
Well, before I go through everything, I'm just a little curious there, Man Crush. How does any of that prepare you to find a orange flag up a giant nose?
Well, you go really hard. So then when you get on the show, that shit's easy.
Oh, okay. Well, that's how you're
Yeah.
going to win your, your summer at summer camp, space camp, or,
And if you tell that story to the producers, you might get on the show.
All right.
Or not.
On your mark, get set, go.
I don't know. Those obstacle courses seem like they'd be pretty difficult if you were pretty hard.
Yeah.
Dude, we're kids, man. You fucking weirdo.
All right, Harvey, tell them what they've won. All right. So what I'd like to do here is give this to Mark in the spirit of 76, but just, God damn it, Mark, you can't fight City Hall.
Apparently Quincy can.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Now, Joe, definitely an impressive pick here. I mean, who doesn't remember the Crocodile Hunter? And just big credit to the Discovery Channel for giving us such an amazing person as Steve. But unfortunately, the Crocodile Hunter, for everything that it gave us that was positive, it also gave us Bindi. And she sucks.
She just had a baby of her own, much like how she was born on the TV show, like Joe said.
It's amazing what they can do with trick cameras on television. So, I feel like I almost feel like because the Mets won the World Series in 1986, that it might just be my favorite year of the 80s. But honestly, Double Dare was just like such a huge part of my life in that whole like 86 to 91 era. That was who didn't want to be on that show?
Except for with your parents. I hated those episodes.
Oh, Super Slopper.
Those were horrible.
I love how they had
nobody wants to go on with your parents.
They always had like those like started off with just Double Dare. Then it was Family Double Dare. Then it was Super Sloppy Double Dare.
That sounds
I couldn't imagine that. I'd be like, can I just do this by myself?
Honestly, like if you think about it, you probably were like, all right, well, I got Dad here, but my sister and my mom just suck. They're never going to get that liquid past that red line.
Oh man.
Yeah.
We were all into that though.
You know what was the best though? Like when you knew that they paired like these two kids together who they weren't friends, they weren't related, they just happened to be on the lot that day. And you're just like, you got that one kid who looks like he's probably the fastest kid in his class, and then he's got this stupid girl with him that can't do anything. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Anybody else who watched one of those game shows on Nickelodeon would watch Legends of the Hidden Temple or Guts and be like, that bitch is not finishing anywhere near first place. All right.
Throw
So
him
yeah.
under the bus.
Yep.
Be like,
Right
"You
there.
suck.
Like
You
the
suck."
see the silver monkeys over there? They're not winning shit. And fucking Jane in purple, she's not scoring any points.
Well, who did score a lot of points in this round apparently was Man Crush.
You know what? For the sake of the game, and I think this will be fun because I have an idea who you possibly could be, Mr. Body. Go ahead and give it a Joe, and let's find out who you are. Let's go to the wild card round, just to see what happens.
What are we doing?
No response to that, Mr. Body.
He doesn't want
Oh.
to.
So you want me to put my identity on the line, no matter how many children it will hurt.
I think I do. I think I do. I want you to give this to Joe. Let's go to wild card, and we'll figure out who you really are.
Oh, we're gonna uncover.
right.
All right.
All
We'll
right.
go to wild card round here. And I guess I'll start this one off here. And then we'll go over to Joe. So for my wild card, we'll keep this real short. October 11th.
Wait, you don't get to
19
go into wild card too. Joe got the points. Joe's tied with me.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
Oh,
we'll cut
I
that.
want to hear your
This is
wild
your
card.
This is your first time.
No, it's all right. You don't. my
Oh,
wild card
that's-
sucked.
Aw, this feels like clicky now, and I don't like
He's
it.
like, "Aw."
All right.
right.
So for wild card round, let's kick it over to Joe Finley first. Joe, what do you got for the wild card?
Well, what the hell? Let's talk about it. This is actually a very interesting one because it's another music choice, and it was actually another metal band's second album, and it actually went to number 3 on the Billboard 200 behind Tool's Enema. This was from the band Korn. I Give You Life is Peachy. It featured singles like Twist, No Place to Hide, Adidas, All Day I About Sex, and Wicked, which was an Ice Cube cover. It received a Grammy nomination for Best Metal Performance, the one that Tool won. So, I mean, it was kind of like here, then here for those two, and a couple of bands that I listened to a shit ton of in high school. So I give you Life is Peachy from the band Korn in 1996.
All right. And Man Crush, your final wild card offerings.
All right, let's go to October 17th, 1986. And just because I feel like this judge might be related to somebody we know in one way or another, I've decided to bring the movie Recruits to the wild card round. And here's a little synopsis of this gem that would be right up that guy's alley if this was really him.
Is this Michael
And
Winslow's
obviously-
brother?
Well, it's close. I mean, obviously, this is a total Police Academy clone. Yet you get nudity in this one, and it does have also an R rating. But here's a couple taglines from the movie, which are fantastic. So this Canadian masterpiece gives you this first tagline: "You've attended Police Academy, now graduate to Recruits." And then the other tagline they have, because multiple movies or one movie always has multiple taglines, right? You have the good news is the sheriff's cleaning the streets of thieves, hookers, and bums. The bad news is he's giving them badges, uniforms, and guns. So here's what the movie is about. Within 2 weeks, Sergeant Hardbutt has to clean up crime in the streets before the governor arrives. Hardbutt is forced to supplement his overworked staff with civilian recruits who he schemes to use to his disastrous advantage. And I throw this out there to you too, because I mentioned before that you can watch Trick or Treat for free on YouTube. This you can also watch for free on YouTube. Hour and 27 minutes long. Go check it out. It's the movie Recruits, the Canadian classic.
Wow. He must work out. All right, Mr. Body, what is your very final verdict on this game?
Well, you know, I feel somewhat bad, Joe, because again, you chose a band that I just don't really listen to a whole lot. But if you were to give me an enema, you might find some corn.
On Shoed.
Now, Man Crush, it seems to me that you were definitely trying to smooze me a little bit here with your.
I don't think I was trying to smooth you. I was just trying to figure out who you are.
Well, I don't think that anybody really needs to know who I am. I don't think they. Why would anybody care who I really am?
Do you want me to go with my
the
backup?
man's identity.
Do you want me to go with my backup wild card where 7-Up was sold?
Sure, why not? I want to hear about this. How long is
All
it
right,
going to take?
Now I'm gonna
now
I'm gonna give Mark 3 points, and then he can have his. Now he's gonna wild card against you.
I actually have a better question here. What's actually on the line here? Like, what has to happen for me to give up my identity?
This was actually a fantastic question.
I don't know if you need to tell us. I think.
Okay.
Depending on your selection, we'll lean one way or another.
Does Joe have to win for me? Like, is that how we're doing this? Or
this is a mask versus mask.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see how this goes. I won't throw out the 7-Up sold. I think that's a little bit too much Spanish fly for you. But go ahead.
See, the thing I like about Recruits is the cover.
Oh, it's amazing.
You know, it's a good cover, and it's definitely, and I like how it follow. You know, there's so many movies that follow like that police academy fucking the inmates are running the asylum kind of fucking plot line. Now,
or 80s parody.
Yeah, which who doesn't love that? And I'm sure that this ran on USA Up All Night at some point.
Oh, I didn't check that. I should have.
I could probably see that happening. I think I have a copy of this on VHS.
Oh, wait, you know what? I'm looking at the poster now. There's a third tagline. Go ahead, make their day. So now, so they ripped off a totally different franchise for that one.
That was good.
You know, you got to really like at the very least just to appreciate their enthusiasm and their willingness to, not be original. Man, I don't know. Obviously, Korn is the bigger thing here, but I mean, who the fuck gets to talk about Recruits? That doesn't happen too often. And I'm hoping that the audience at home might actually go out there and watch it on YouTube. And then, next day at work, they're just talking about Recruits. Guys like talking about police academies. Like, nah, man, you gotta see Recruits.
It's got nudity.
Yeah, it's got nudity. All you get in fucking Police Academy 1 is Mahoney fucking looking in the shower. Oh, man. Don't know what to do here. This is so, but you know what? I think I'm going to have to do the responsible thing here and give this to Man Crush with Recruits.
Now I have no idea who you are.
Responsible.
We'll leave that one up to the people at home.
We'll never know. We're never going to solve this mystery.
It's a mystery.
I'll take it, though. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Maybe we're going to have to call Quincy.
Quincy.
Bo Beecraft?
No, he's the Quincy of Quincy, who also looks like the guy on the cover of the Night Moves album. It's supposed to be Bob Seger, but I think it's a young Bo Beecraft. So, just saying. All right. Well, I guess this means Man Crush picks up yet another victory. Congratulations.
It's the headband.
But Duelers, if you've missed an episode of our show, you can always go back on duelingdecades.com where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, pretty much everywhere podcasts are available. And then if you're just listening to the show on podcast format, you're missing so much. Go over to our YouTube. Here you'll actually be able to see Mr. Body and see if you can figure out his identity for yourself. But again, once again, I want to thank Mr. Body for showing up this week and being our special guest judge.
Oh, thank you very much, Mark. It was really a pleasure to be here. I hope I didn't fuck up your guys' flow too much. And for those parents who are checking to see if I live in their neighborhood, I do not.
You're not fucking up my flow, but you're messing up my Cabbage Patch. So, all right, Joe Finley, let's toss it over to you. Why don't you tell everybody what's going on Miscast Commentary?
I tell you, I think I've made myself the busiest human being in the world because I've been doing a lot with Miscast commentary. We've got some fun ones coming up. I actually have an interview with a former Dueling Decades judge, and I'll actually drop it on here. I didn't drop it on my own show, but Andrew Cassess
Ooh,
is going to be talking about
Oh,
Revenge of the
nice.
Nerds 2 with us. So,
very nice.
so we're very much looking
Ask him
forward.
how much an Airbnb at the Hotel Coral Essex is.
That's wonderful. But yeah, so in addition to that, I've been doing the whole Miscast Joe thing, doing my own thing. I'm literally swarmed right now with equipment and things that I have to review, and I'm doing like all the tutorials and all that kind of thing. So I'm making myself a very busy man just in general. I think just to kind of hide my own sadness. But it's been a blast coming back on here and doing this. And yeah, I don't know. I got nothing else for you.
And
Well,
we'll be
it
back next week.
Yes, we'll
Oh.
be back next week with an all new episode of
And
Dueling
all
Decades.
an all new contestant.
An all new contestant. Yeah, it's fantastic. Lots of great stuff happening here on Dueling Decades. Make sure you subscribe, give us a like and a review. So until next time, Duelers, we're going to bid you a peace, love, light, and a joy. Have a grateful week, everyone.
All right.